So the Grand Cherokee has 4 trims: Laredo, Limited, Overland, and Summit on the Grand Cherokee L. Now, if you look at the window sticker, it says Grand Cherokee L Altitude. Now, you might think, okay, altitude is a trim level, but it's not. It's actually a package. So it kind of implies that that is that's the trim level, but it's actually a Laredo. It actually says Laredo down here, Laredo. But if you look at the package here, the altitude package, it includes quite a bit. Now, don't confuse that with the high altitude package. It's just the regular altitude package. There's also a black package, which just gets black wheels. But there's lots of different packages that you can add on the vehicle. But this is a Laredo with the altitude package. That's what I'm getting at.
Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today we're checking out a 2023, this also applies to 24, same vehicle, Grand Cherokee L and the Laredo with the altitude package. Now this is the 4-wheel drivetrain. I've seen really good deals on these Grand Cherokee L's at dealerships, under $40,000 in some cases. So yeah, this is a really interesting option for a person that's delaying the inevitable minivan purchase, or they just need a large vehicle that they can carry their entourage with them. This vehicle is sitting on 265/50 Bridgestone tires wrapped around 20-inch alloy wheels with a gloss black finish. That's part of the altitude package. It also has 4-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors on all 4 wheels. It has a very functional cargo and passenger space. There's a second row, there's a third row, which is why it's an L, has the third row. If you have all the seats occupied with passengers, this is the cargo space. Now it does have a little storage cubby here on the right side. There's also tie downs, bag holder, 12-volt power supply that's paired with the battery, so you don't have to have the ignition switch on. And that's on that side. On the left side, there's another little cubby at the bottom. There's a single light. There's a button here for lowering the power liftgate, which is a little bit different from other manufacturers. Bag holder, that kind of stuff. But you also have additional space under the floor. Now this cover is just kind of sitting here. It's not secure in any way. It's just kind of sitting right there. But it does have quite a bit of space underneath it. There is the tire and tools. The tire's underneath the vehicle, and you can access it here by lowering it. There's a bolt there to unscrew and lower it to the ground, and then the jack for the spare tire and tools is behind this cover right there. So you can see there's also a funnel there because there's no cap. It's a capless design for the fuel door, so you'll need that funnel if you need to use a gas can. If we want to add to our cargo space, we don't need the third row, say, or at least one seat. We can just pull this. It folds the headrest automatically, and then it just kind of allows you to just push it down. So now we've added to our cargo space by a single seat while still maintaining passenger space. Same thing with this seat. We can go ahead and lower it down. It's a 50-50 split, so 2 seats. Now we have a significantly larger passenger space. Now you notice the third row, it has USB ports, cup holders. There's also tie downs here, a little storage cubby there as well. So it has a little bit of amenities as far as charging cell phones and stuff. All right, so now we can also fold down the second row if we want to add to our cargo space and have a wide open space back here, maximum amount of cargo, least amount of passenger space, basically. Now there's 2 ways to manipulate these second row seats. There is the first way, which is this latch right here, and you lift it up and it keeps the seat in this position, and you can move it forward like this. So that way, if you have a car seat in place, it gives you the ability to move the seat out of the way and get access to the third row this way. Also, it just kind of gets it out of the way. So this area right in here is now a little bit less occupied. Other vehicles just kind of fold the front of the back of the seat down, and then the bottom part is still there, kind of getting in the way. This kind of lifts it up out of the way, a little bit better. It has a step here. There's the floor, and then you can see the seats are a little bit close to the floor. So these aren't the most comfortable seats for adults in the third row, but it does have pretty decent third row seats. And like I said, it has the USB ports and all that stuff. So the other way to fold these seats down, you can actually, you can recline these seats a little bit like so, or you can also move them forward and back. So there's a latch here, you can move them forward and back. You can also fold them down. So you lift this up and it kind of folds them down. And this was basically cargo mode. So this is adding to your cargo space by doing this typically. Backseat passengers do have cup holders, little storage place right there, USB-C and regular USB charge ports, power inverter, 150 watts, climate control vents, but you have the ability to adjust your own climate control back here. And it's in the center, so that way it's not on one side or the other. So you can set the temperature, fan speed, and all that stuff. Mode will be where you want the air to blow, so you can have it high or low, basically. But it does have the automatic function here, which is most convenient. Now, of course, you can lock this out and just use it in the front there, so you don't have kids playing around with it if you want. And you see it has the net pockets here with bag holders, which is really convenient, here and here. And this is a hard touch surface, so if the kids like kick the back seat, it's pretty durable. And it's kind of dished in a little bit, kind of concave shape here, give you a little bit extra leg room, basically. In addition to the vents in the center, you also have vents here on the outside, as well as under the seat as well. The doors almost go all the way to the bottom of the vehicle, so it covers up this threshold nicely, kind of keeping it a little bit cleaner. The inside of the passenger side door, it has a soft touch surface like injection molded here. This is like a vinyl type material. This is soft touch here as well, but the rest of the door is the hard touch surfaces here. There's a pretty decent pocket there at the bottom. This is enclosed, so you can utilize that as a pocket as well, and it has some little bit of design touches here, little texturing, and then you have some contrast stitching as well. These are manually adjusted seats here on the passenger side. Synthetic leatherette with the suede inserts there, and they are heated seats. They have the perforations there in the center, and they're pretty comfortable, pretty decent seats once you get them positioned right. There's the floorboard in front of the passenger seat. The floor mat does snap in place in a single spot. You can see there's a little bit of limitation as far as legrooms there. There's a hard touch surface down here. It does have a lockable glove compartment. Smooth plastic on the inside, pretty decent size, I guess. Now you have this like metallic gray right in here, and then a silver portion below it. And then there's like a vinyl type material with a stitching there, contrast stitching, looking pretty good. And then a kind of rubberized, non-reflective, soft touch dash. The opening in the front is really easy to get in and out of the vehicle. The seat height off the ground is great for me anyway. And just getting in and out of the vehicle is fine. There's the swing of the door is great, the headroom's great, legroom, all that stuff's good. The back door, the swing of the door is good, and the opening is really good. So you're not bumping your head or anything like that getting into the back. The inside of the back door has similar styling. We have the injection molded stuff here. They have the textured plastic here, vinyl, and then the soft touch here with the stitching and hard touch at the bottom. And then you have the little enclosed pocket there. What's cool about these pockets is they have a rubberized mat at the bottom, so if you put change or something in there, it's not going to rattle, you know. Some vehicles have a pocket, but they're hard plastic, sort of like this. You put something in there, it's going to rattle while you're driving or something, or if the speakers are playing, it sometimes rattle and drives me nuts. The name of this color is Bright White Clear Coat, and it's basically just a regular white, nothing special really, I guess. But it does have the Jeep badge, just kind of right here on this color, popping out. And of course, we have the blacked out 7-slot grille here. Mostly flat black, but there is these little gloss portions right here in the center, like little frames, I guess you can say. Radar adaptive cruise control sensor is located right here. And we have some gloss black here on the front. So the Altitude is basically a Laredo. It just has a lot of appearance for the most part. But this has other features as well. We'll go over the window sticker at the end. Looking at the profile, it has, in addition to the gloss black wheels, it has these pillars right here, which are gloss black. That helps kind of solidify all this glass, kind of accents the length of the vehicle, and has body colored handles. And also there's a flat black portion there at the bottom, goes around each wheel well, extending from the front of the vehicle. Gloss black side mirrors, and a matte black roof rail up here as well. But yeah, this is a little bit longer than the regular Grand Cherokee to accommodate for that third row. And it has a good ride quality too with that length. This is what the key looks like, and it's a full proximity key. It does have the lock, unlock, remote start, the ability to lift the power lift gate, and a panic button here as well. And I like the way you can slide out the physical key and take the key fob itself and put it away, like say in a Faraday cage or something. Secure the key fob itself while just taking your keychain with you without the extra chunk of this key. Because it is kind of a big, square, chunky key with some weight to it. So this is pretty good design here. So as long as you have the key with you, it could be in a bag, pocket, wherever, as long as it's on the outside of either the driver or the passenger side door, you can lock the door by placing your hand over the sensor indicated by these little dimples right here. You could basically just slide your hand across it, put your hand over it, that kind of thing. It's real easy when I get out and I just kind of shut the door and I just kind of put my hand there, locks the doors, and now I know the vehicle's secure. To unlock it, you simply put your hand behind the handle and there's a sensor back here. As long as the key's on the outside of the door, it'll unlock the doors and allow you access to the vehicle. There's also a physical key location here on the driver's side only. Fuel door is here on the driver's side, and it's a non-locking fuel door, and it's also capless, so there's no cap to touch or get in the way. It does have a seal around the outside of this, but it is a capless design. Starting it up, as long as you have the key inside the vehicle, just hold the brake, press this button to turn it on. The floorboard in front of the driver's seat, unlike the passenger side, has a floor mat that snaps in place two places. All right, and there is the legroom here with the accelerator, brake pedal, and footrest. Let's take a look under the hood. To open the hood, there is a latch right here in the very center, basically. It's right underneath this Jeep name. You just reach in, move it to the left, and lift up. You can see it right there is what you're doing. And it holds up for you, holds up the hood, so it's really easy to access the engine compartment. There's insulation there, there's seals everywhere, keeping the airflow and noise under control. Now this vehicle has the Pentastar 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 engine, rear-wheel drive primarily, but this is in particular is all-wheel drive, and it's oriented in the all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive position. But basically, they've used this engine on everything. You know, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, pretty much every vehicle almost has had this engine in it at one time or another. So it's been around a while. It's been, you know, fairly reliable engine, and it's paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, which is an excellent ZF made automatic transmission. Excellent. I had a Dodge Challenger. Drove it for 110,000 miles and sold it, and had zero problems with the entire drivetrain. It had the exact same, basically the same engine and transmission. It just wasn't all-wheel drive. So yeah, I had a great experience, great gas mileage, and made a video about it if you want to check it out. This has the blind spot detection system and the little indicators here on the side mirror, heated side mirror by the way, and it's like a little triangle right there, which will illuminate when there's a vehicle in your blind spot. The driver's side door, just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. The front two are powered one touch up and down, and they are laminated glass here. Laminated 2 layers of glass with an acoustic material there in the center. And the rear windows, you do have to hold them, but they do go all the way down. There's power side mirrors are adjusted here. There's no way to power forward them though. Power seat here for the driver. It has the up, down, tilt, all that stuff, and a 4-way lumbar adjustment. And once again, these are heated seats as well. To the left of the steering column, there is the electronic parking brake here. You just pull it to engage it, and it engages the rear wheels, and to hold the brake, push it in to disengage it. There's also the headlight switch. You have off, parking lights, headlights, and automatic. Dimmer switch for the ambient lights, and the gauges and other things as well here. Those are the dimmers. Now I do have a night video which I show that in detail. And also has a tilt and a telescoping steering column. You lock in place here in the center. Looking at the back of the vehicle, it does have the flat black shark fin antenna right here. The third brake light is at the top of the glass, integrated into the rear spoiler, and the upper portion is white, bottom portion is a gloss black. It does have a little tiny rear wiper, which is kind of neat. The Jeep badge is blacked out, and it doesn't pop out as much as the front because it's kind of filled in the center. It has LED, full LED taillights, turn signals, brake lights, everything. You can check out my night video for that. Parking sensors across the back. The backup camera is in the very center of the vehicle, which is perfect. And it's in a decent position as well. So it seems to work well and in a good position. It looks a little bit tacked on. I mean, if it was a little bit better integrated into the design of the vehicle, it'd be a little bit better, but as it is, it's okay. Now we have this huge flat black bumper back here, and the reflectors are down here. These are not lights, these are just reflectors. The exhaust is well hidden under here. To open it up, you can of course use the key, or you can just press this button, press that, and it lifts up. You can see it has 2 lights and hard plastic on the underside of the liftgate. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I have the driver's seat all the way back and all the way down to show you the potential legroom here. And I'm really far back. I'm 6 feet tall, and I feel like a toddler because I can't touch the pedals really. So I definitely need to pull it up. So if you're like way over 6 feet tall, shouldn't have a problem driving this vehicle. Now the extension of the steering wheel, as far as the articulation, it doesn't pull out as far. So if you're like super tall, if this came out a little bit closer to you, if you have like long legs or something, but it does come out enough. I mean, I think it's for most people it's fine, but I just want to mention that if you're like super duper tall, then you can definitely handle the legroom, but the steering wheel might be a little bit more forward. Now it has the really nice feeling leather wrap steering wheel. It has this little accent right in here, and that gray, like kind of sparkle gray we saw on the dash, integrated in there as well. And it does have the color-coded buttons as well, which I like. I wish more manufacturers would go with less bland wireframe icons and stuff like that, and have a little bit more color or some kind of identify. Sometimes easier to identify, especially on a bright day. Some things are a little bit more obscure, so at least you have the color code difference there for the Bluetooth phone, and the separate buttons is good as well. So the cruise control is here on the right side, and you turn it on. There's 2 ways to turn it on. You have the adaptive cruise control, or you have regular cruise control. So when you turn it on, you can choose whether you want to have the adaptive or not. And once you turn it on, you can set resume and cancel here as well. And you can set with either one of these buttons, the plus or the minus, because that's the change the speed. And you can also set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, and having separate buttons is, once again, really good. Now it has the paddle shifters. I don't really use them, but I accidentally press them all the time. So if you accidentally press it, if you don't want to change to the gears, you just press and hold this plus button, and it'll go back into drive. Because for some reason, this vehicle is easy to press those buttons. Now, speaking of the back of the steering wheel, it does have some, traditional. The Jeep has had this for a while, but these buttons on the back of the steering wheel, there's actually an up, down, and a center button here. So this is the volume here on the right side. So they're basically designed to where your fingers line up. So when you're holding the steering wheel, your fingers kind of line up with them. So you can adjust the volume. The center button on the right side is to change through the audio source. So you have the volume and the audio source on this side. On the left side, the up and down change through the radio station or the tracks that you're playing, that kind of thing. And then the center button cycles through the presets on your radio only. So moving back here to the left side of the steering wheel, we have the OK and these arrows, and this right here, this corresponds with the gauges, which is basically a screen, and we'll get to that shortly. Front and rear wipers are here. It does have the rain sensing wipers as well. On the left side is the turn signal and also the high and low beams. Now it does not have the automatic high beams, so it doesn't have that feature on this trim. The gauges, right now there's like this glare on the left side. I do not see it with my eyes at all, but the camera's picking up this huge glare. So yeah, it does not look like that in person. So I can see it fine. I've always been able to see the screen fine. So on the left side is the tachometer, and then you have the engine coolant temperature. You also have additional information there in the center, which right now is showing the digital compass. On the right side, it's showing the outside temperature. The fuel gauge is here, and the speedometer and the digital speedometer there in the middle. Now this is all customizable, because using this button right here, there's a couple ways to do it, but this is one way of changing the information anyway. So you press this button here, and it pulls up like these little icon or tiles right here, and you can kind of scroll through and choose the one you want. And basically it's just to get additional information. So let's say we choose that. It just puts that in the center. You can always scroll up and down anyway without using this little screen. This is a little gimmicky. It's not really necessary. But we'll go ahead and leave that there. Because when we go up, let me go back up here. This is the original screen we saw, and you'll notice when I go up and down, you'll see this center part is part of a menu screen. So the first one says driver info. If we scroll to the right, it shows the driver assist. Scroll to the right again, it goes back there. So it just toggles. You can see the little bubbles right there showing you that you'd have additional information there. Scrolling down to number 2, it's vehicle info, and you notice these gauges shrink or expand depending on how much room it needs there in the center. So this has the gauge summary, but if we scroll left and right, we get additional information. Let's scroll through all that stuff. Scrolling down again, we have the trip info. We have trip A, trip B. You can reset them independently, and it has a miles per gallon, miles, and a timer as well. Scrolling down again takes us to whatever our radio is doing. Stored messages will be the next one, number 5. Number 6 is where we can customize the screen. So we hit that, and then we can go to upper right, upper left, current gear, odometer. We can change all these. So let's say the upper left, let's say we want to change that. Right now it's the digital compass. Let's say we want to have the range to empty. We can have that up there. So now, if that glare is allowing you to see it, now that is changed. Scrolling down again takes us back to number 1, which is the driver info, which will be my default. But yeah, this is a very useful screen. It does have a pretty decent amount of information, and it shows the status of the cruise control. And when you turn on the cruise control, you can see it shrinks sometimes and expands. Sometimes it's a little bit too much shrinking and expanding, but it does, allow for you to see clearly everything. Okay, so right above this touchscreen, you have the auto stop start, lane keep assist off button. These are off buttons here, off, off, off. So auto stop, you can turn it off here. Lane keep assist default is on, you turn it off here. Traction control default is on, you turn it off here. Four-way flashers, parking sensors, another one of those off buttons. And then you can turn on sport. So this is the only on button, is to turn on sport mode. Okay, so the touch screen, it has these icons here at the bottom. There's the home, there's media, comfort, which is your climate control, your phone, vehicle information and settings, and then apps, which is these different icons, and you can favorite them as well. You have media, comfort, phone. It's not really all apps, it's mostly just different features of the vehicle. It's not an application to be run in the same way like a computer runs an application. But you can also pull down from the top here, and you have little shortcuts here as well, as outside temperature, and then you have your climate control. You have heated seat, heated steering wheel controls here as well. You can sync the climate control. You can also go into different audio sources here. So you hit that. Turn the volume down. So you have FM, satellite radio. And you see the album art and stuff right here. You can do a direct tune. Play off your phone or a USB port as well. You can browse, you can adjust the audio. So yeah, there's basically the icons here at the bottom stay there, the clock stays there, and then everything kind of, adjusts to what you're doing. Fan speed, climate control. You can also, you sync all of them like so, or you can control the rear here. Down here is a volume for the radio, tune through the stations. You can mute or turn off the radio here. There's mute, there's turn off. Now, if you want to turn the screen off, you press here.
So that will actually turn the screen off. You just tap the screen to turn it back on. Heated steering wheel is here and has a little indicator light. Heated seat, it's a 3-stage, high, medium, and low, and it has little indicator lights for the driver and passenger. Where you want the air to blow, fan speed, temperature for driver, temperature for the passenger, front and rear defrosters. You can turn the whole system off if you want, the whole climate control system. And then where you want the air to blow here. You do have an automatic function where you circulate the air as well. Now this closes up if you want to close it, but looks better when it's open, and also it's more functional. There's USB-C and USB ports, 12-volt power supply. Now you can notice this one has the key because it is turned on and off with the ignition. There's a wireless charge pad here, which is part of the altitude package, and there's a little light in here as well. I'll show that in a night video. This is the shifter, and it's just a dial. So when you turn it to reverse, two things happen. The parking sensors are now active in the rear, and the backup camera is now activated. Continuing on is neutral, and then drive. So it's real easy to just turn it into drive and drive the vehicle, and then when you're done, it's right there to park. The cup holders are illuminated, and they have these little bubbles that kind of take up the slack for different types of cups and bottles and stuff there as well. And it's rubberized there in the center. That whole thing is rubberized. Here's the armrest, and it's soft, very soft. It doesn't bottom. I don't feel any bottoming out. Nice and comfortable. It has the stitching here. Not quite big enough to show the passenger, I don't think, but it's possible, I guess. It has two sections. This top section right here, there's two latches, top, bottom. You see it there and there. And you can lift up the top one, and there's a felt-lined, like, quick access pocket here. I got my business cards in here. And so that's, there's no illumination here, but it does have the ability to, have something quickly accessed right there. Because the larger pocket down here turns into a junk drawer, typically. Now it does have a light, but it is basically just a wide open space here. There's a felt lining at the bottom, and it has places for wires to go in and out if you need to, but it's not really necessary. There's no connectivity or anything, but it does have a little bit of space there. The rear view mirror is a manual day and night mode. Place to put your shades right here, and it's a felt lined compartment. Tap lights for the interior reading lights. Now they shine basically in your lap. You can turn on all the interior lights here, all off, or you can turn them off, make it to where it doesn't turn the interior lights on when you open the door by pressing that button. So we have another off button, basically. And to open up the power lift gate is here. You open up the, this is for the sunroof, so this would be slide it. This is to vent it. We'll look at that in a second. The visors are a black cloth material, just like the headliner. And it has really bright lights here with the mirror. And it also extends out on the visor as well. There's a little clip on the other side. Okay, so the sunroof, it does have the shade that blocks 100% of the light. We can open it up. We can slide it using this left one. All right, that's as far back as it goes. Go forward. And then the other one can tilt it up, tilt it down. Looking at the visibility there in the back, it has, I put one seat down and one seat up so you can see the headrest, how much it gets in the way in the rear window. It's quite a bit. And of course it depends on your passengers and all that stuff, but how big their hairdos are. But the visibility can be quite limited here in the back depending on the headrest and all that and the pillars and stuff. So you could upgrade and get the one with the rear view camera system, so it has a camera back there instead of trying to rely on just a mirror. That helps out. Now this vehicle does have the blind spot detection system, rear cross traffic alert, parking sensors back there, good camera system and all that stuff. So it has a decent amount of technology to help you drive the vehicle safely without any problem with the visibility, and I hadn't really had any problems with it. With a vehicle this size having a V6, The V6 is okay for this size, depending on how much you're pulling or how much cargo you have in the vehicle, and also if you're going up and down hills. But like on flat surfaces where I drive, it's not really an issue. And also the 8-speed automatic transmission really does help out with just getting this vehicle going and making it feel like it's not lacking in power. Now, I can imagine scenarios in which this engine would not be powerful enough, and you know, the V8 engine would be a better option. But the V6, for just normal driving around with passengers, stuff like that, I think for a lot of people it should be fine. So I'm just going to accelerate so you can hear what it sounds like here. So you notice it does, I didn't floor it, but I gave it a pretty good amount of gas. And you can tell that the engine, you know, revs up quite a bit, and the engine noise is considerable when you are, you know, accelerating fast. But it's for the size of the vehicle, and you're just driving it normal, you know, when you're accelerating fast, you can kind of tell it's a little bit, you know, it's not fast, you know, it accelerates fine. But for a vehicle this size, it's actually pretty impressive, really, considering you have a V6. And of course, the transmission is so nice. It accelerates quickly. I mean, the transmission shifts are quick, and also it holds the appropriate you know, RPMs and all that stuff. So, you know, the pairing of the transmission with this engine is great. Now, if you're doing any significant towing, or if you're, you know, have a lot of cargo or a lot of passengers, or if you're like going up and down hills, that kind of thing, then, you know, an upgrade to a V8 would probably be the better option. But flat, you know, just flat roads, driving normally, you know, I would have no problem having a V6 in this particular case. So just accelerating, just kind of reasonable level. You can hear all the gear ratios that the vehicle has, and it doesn't feel weak at all. It just has that stepped acceleration and brings you to the next level, and before you know it, you're at the speed limit. Overall, these back roads like this, the thing about this vehicle is the size of it and the length of the wheelbase, and the way it's set up with the large wheels and tires and all that stuff. It does a really good job on highways. You know, you have good visibility with it high up off the ground. You have the relatively low RPM, so the engine, even at higher speeds, is not, you know, revving up or anything like that. So we're at 1600 RPMs right now at 61 miles per hour. Another thing about a vehicle like this, where it's relatively large, it's a large vehicle, but it can handle going around curves without, you know, rolling over so much. It stays relatively flat. Now these aren't like super sharp curves, but being able to go around pretty much any curve, you know, this you would normally drive on, and feel comfortable, feeling solid. Like I can go around these curves faster than the speed limit, no doubt. And it doesn't feel like there's, you know, I have to just urgently slow down. You know, some vehicles just feels a little unsteady when you're going around curves, but this one right here is just solid. The adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist system make it really easy to drive on the highway. And, you know, with the height and everything, you have good visibility, and it's smooth, comfortable, relatively quiet. There's not unless when you rev the engine, you hear the engine, but when it's not revving, you don't really hear it. Tiny bit of wind noise, teeny tiny bit of road noise. But
other than that, it's fine. Like if you're playing the radio or something like that, then all that stuff tends to drown out typically. But with the adaptive cruise control, it kind of, like if there's cars slow down or whatever, it kind of helps you keep a safe distance, and it does a decent job of keeping you at a safe distance. You know, you can adjust the distance here real easy. For me, this one, the furthest distance sometimes a little bit too far away, so I can pull it in a little bit. Depends on how fast I'm going. But it also, sometimes it will recognize, like if there's a vehicle that is turning off, well, the vehicle is completely out of the way and is still slamming on the brakes. So it's a little bit on the more cautious side, I would say, as far as, you know, things in front of the vehicle. But, you know, it's real easy to override it. You just hit the accelerator, and if you want to, you know, quickly turn it off, you can of course turn the button, push the button, or you can just hit the brake. But, you know, I do tend to override the braking sometimes based on, you know, people turning off and they're not in front of me anymore, and it's still, you know, hitting the brakes, especially if there's a truck behind you. You don't want that to happen. Has really good brakes, so a big vehicle like this can really come to a complete stop fast.